It has been 2 years since Sunset Shimmer had returned to Questia from the other world. Even she was very happy to be back home again. And just shortly after that she had come back, Twilight had offered her to be a teacher at the School of Friendship in Pullman. Of course, Sunset had said yes, but she decided to wait to be a teacher for at least a while since she had just returned. She just wanted to spend some time with Celestia, just getting out, catching up some time she has been away. And the Twilight did understood that. So for the next couple of weeks, Sunset were in Canterlot, and she had some amazing time. She spent a lot of time with her former teacher, and they had a lot of things to get up with. They talked a lot about log. They talked about almost anything that she had learned from the other world, or things she had seen. And Celestia was very impressed how much she had made so much progress in the other world. But before she was obsessed to be like a princess, be an alicorn. But now these days, she isn't even considered to be as an alicorn. Even if she would be offered, she would probably said no, and she was just really happy to at least that her former student was happy with her life. But around the same time when she was staying in Canterlot, she ran into this stallion, and this stallion was treating her really well. And when he found out that Sunset used to be a former student, a personal student to Celestia, that didn't bother him at all. And he even asked her out at the first date they met, which she said yes. And shortly afterwards, then they started to see each other more often. First, they get to know each other, maybe for some over for dinner, for cafe, restaurant, or even some movies together. But sometime afterwards, Sunset moved to Ponyville, where she was going to start as a teacher. She had even told the stallion about this, and he didn't mind to travel back and forth between Camelot and Ponyville, since there wasn't that particular far. So everything seems to be going quite well. On the weekends, Sunset often went to Camelot to see her new boyfriend, and it happened that he even went to Ponyville to see her for a weekend or so. But everything seems to be going quite well between them. And it was getting so serious that Sunset had often been thinking if she should move in with him. So she had asked him if he wanted to move in with her in Ponyville. Since he had his business back in Canterlot, he could still just take the train back and forward, or he can stay there from time, and then he can always go back to Ponyville to be with her. And he didn't see any problem with that, so he moved in with her in a small apartment in Ponyville. And everything was going well. Sunset has a great job as a teacher and a loving boyfriend who works at the Canterlot, but over time he seems to be more distant, but nothing is serious for most. But after being together for nearly 6 months, they were getting ready to celebrate their 6 months anniversary, and they had decided if it was going to be celebrated in Canterlot or Ponyville. But they decided then after some discussing in Ponyville, and they had some amazing time. But everything seemed to be going so well between them. But one day, everything seems to be was differently. Every time when she asked him if he would be back in Ponyville, maybe for the weekend, he often said that no, I can't. I have to do some overtime at my work, and the business are busy these days. So, but next weekend, I promise I will be there with you. And at first, Sunset had no much any problem with that because she knows how busy his work is. But after some time, though, she started getting to notice something was a bit off between them. Because one day when she went to Candlelight to surprise them. She found that his work was empty. It was during a lunch break, so she didn't mind to go to his office to wait for him there. But when there, she actually found basically nothing. It's any ordinary, unless when she opened a drawer and opened a drawer to his desk, she found this letter, and she found maybe that was just from an old friend of his or something. But when she started to read the letter, at first it seemed to be innocent. There was some mayor who wrote to him, and she thought maybe it was a friend, since she had a lot of male friends almost from anywhere in Christian. But every single letter that she wrote, nothing seems to be ordinary. There were just some responding back and forward like, "How are you? Good. I miss to see you, and since we haven't seen each other since school, everything." And turns out it was an old school friend of his. So she didn't pay him much attention. So when he came back, he was really surprised. But he wasn't angry. He was happy to see her. And they spent a little most of the afternoon together before she went back to Ponyville the next day. And this happened from time to time for the next couple of days. But one day when she went back in Camelot, first to see Celestia, but during when Celestia was busy for most of the afternoon, Sansa decided to maybe go to see her boyfriend at her business, at his business. And at first, it seems to be going well, but then she noticed when she asked his one of the co-workers if they had seen him. No, he hasn't been in Canton for about a week. But Sansa said that he would be here this week. No, he actually went to Manhattan for about a week. I thought he was going to see his new friend. New friend? She asked. You mean as a friend or something more, coworker? Actually, I don't really don't know. I haven't seen her, never seen her, or just he mentioned about her, that he was going to see this mayor. Well, turns out it was just an old friend of his, but that's all I know. So, but it could be the same mayor. The same mayor has been writing these letters to her boyfriend, so she didn't mind that because the important part of the letter said that he mentioned that he couldn't wait to see her again after so much time in school. So she didn't pay much attention. So when he came back to Ponyville about a week later, she asked him about this. And she was waiting for some sort of, "Oh yeah, haven't seen her in a while." But the opposite. He was like, "That's not your business." "I'm sorry, you just asked if we had a meeting with. How do you even know about her? Have you been spying on me on that? Have you sent one some pony to spy on me?" "No, I just..." She explained to him. "Oh, oh yeah, sorry. You know, the business are tiring out, so I'm sorry if I really react like that." So she didn't pay much attention to that. But the same things happen from time to time, though. Almost same reaction. But all of that would change. One day, when she was in Canton to surprise him with some dinner, something did happen. He told her that he will be over to work some overtime today, so they would have to send to see each other the next day. So she didn't mind that. So she went to the castle to spend a night there. But the next day, when she went back to the office, he wasn't even there. Turns out he had left the office almost an hour earlier before she went there. So, but one of the coworkers said that he was out for lunch with another coworker. So she went inside his office, waited for him, and the same time she noticed a letter on the desk. The same writing, the same address for the mayor, and as usual, she started reading it and thought maybe there was just some old greetings like the other ones she found. But this one turned around the opposite. It was more than he ever had never been hoped to be finding. The letter at first turns out to be almost instant. That she said she missed spending time with him what they usually when they spent a lot of time that in Manhattan, but they talked at the restaurant, they just talked about old memories. That sounds the most innocent for her. But then it turned a lot worse. She wrote that she missed hugging him, kissing him, and she said that she can't wait to see him, to be with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend. It turned out Sunset's boyfriend had been cheating on her behind her back. But it turns out that when she found other letters in the same drawer, this dating behind her back had only been happening for about a few weeks, at least almost in half of a month. And she cannot believe it. She tried to forget about what she'd seen or heard, but when he came back, he didn't pay much attention on that he was how to see her. But things started to act differently. Because the next time they went to see in Camelot, he was even there again. So, Sunset had asked some of my coworkers, and it turns out he was back in Mayhem. But this time, she wanted to figure out if the supposed mayor was just an old friend or if there was something a bit more than that. So she immediately went to the train station and took a train all the way there. But she had no idea where to find him. So she asked around in some of the local hotels nearby. It turns out none of them had ever heard about him or that he was in staying there. But one hotel had his name, but he wasn't in. So Sunset decided to wait in the lobby for him to return. And almost a half hour later, he did, but he wasn't even alone. Turns out this supposed mayor who he was was actually with him. But Sunset was hiding behind a newspaper so that he wouldn't notice her. So when she did notice how they were kissing, hugging, and how they said, I would love to spend time with you, sweetheart. Sweetheart. Same thing that he had told Sunset while they were dating. And she could not even do it. So Jeannie wanted David right there and walk up to him, asking for explaining, but he didn't do it. Instead, she saw them, they walked up to his room. And she did know which room hotel number he was staying in, because she had asked that. And he Sunset went up to the same room, knocked on the door, and he opened. And first he expected it to be the room service, which he had ordered. But seeing Sunset there, he was like pale in his face. Sunset, what are you doing here? I'm here to surprise you. But turns out you're here with your another girlfriend or fiancée or whatever it's called. It's not like that. But then, is this room service, honey? No, someone else. Who is it? But just then, the mayor walked out for the kitchen, and right in front of Sunset. And who's this? Uh, this is his ex ex girlfriend. Wait, girlfriend? But how long have you been dating? But now her boyfriend was stunned. He had no other explanation to say. So Sunset said right away, I have been his girlfriend for the past few months. We even living together in Poland. And I'm his girlfriend too. And this was the last straw from both of them. Sunset said, I don't even want to see you again. Don't even try to return. I don't want to see or even hear from you. And then she threw the door right in his face. And just after that, she could hear the other bear behind the door start screaming at him, saying, how could she do that? If she known that he had already had a girlfriend, she would have asked him out for a date or anything, and he could have at least explained that. But he tried to make some excuses that this relationship wasn't even working, and that he tried to break up with her, but he couldn't even do it because he had not had the sense to do it, or was too nervous how would she react. She could have done it, but then Sunset said right back the door, if you hadn't the guts to tell me, you should have told me before you didn't even enter this relationship. But that was the last thing he heard from her, because she ran down the door, ran down the hallway, and left. Sunset was crying all the way to the park when she was sitting. She had no idea that all of this has been going on behind her back until she found both the letters in his office. She had no idea what to do. The last thing she wanted to do is go back to the hotel, talk to him, try to work it out, but to her, it was pointless. So she took the train back home to Ponyville, and when she came back, she threw all his stuff out. She threw them out and burned them. There were mostly some furniture, some books he had, but she burned them all. And most of her friends was right at the same time saw what happened, and they asked, but she refused to answer. After the things that he burned to ash, she walked in her door and never left. A few days later, Celestia returned to Pudding. First, for most of all, for that she wanted to talk to Twilight. But after what she heard from Twilight about Sunset, she was getting concerned. So she went to see Sunset. At first, Sunset didn't want to even talk, but when she saw there was Celestia, she explained to her what happened, and Sunset was devastated. But Celestia told Sunset, things will be clearing out. At least you have him out of your life, and things will be better. You have your friends here. At first, Sunset didn't want to be around her friends, at least for the next couple of days, which they explained and they accepted it. Almost about a week later, Sunset went to Rarity's boutique to help her when she ran into this mare by the name Coco Pommel. And it turns out when she found out asked Rarity where was she from, and that in fact Coco was actually taking care of Rarity's boutique in Manhattan. And when they saw each other, Coco just smiled, and even then Rarity had already explained to her what happened. So Coco then asked Sunset if maybe she wanted to go out, maybe for some tea or something, just to talk, have some conversation. At first, Sunset didn't want to do it, but at least some convincing from Rarity, she did it. So they went to this restaurant nearby to have something to eat and some tea. At first, they talked most about things, but after they talking, they both realized how much they had in common. They had so much things in common, and now she had something else in her mind, a new friend that she can talk to. And Sunset promised that she would be seeing her in Manhattan from time to time if she wanted to spend some more time. And which did happen, because only a few months after they had been spent time together in Manhattan or in Pullman or perhaps even in the Canton, Sunset had started to get some feelings towards this Coco Pommel, but she hadn't even explained that to either to Coco or her friends. She first thought maybe this was some some sort of comfort feelings that she had after that her boyfriend cheated on her. So she didn't bother to even tell any pony about this, not even Coco, at first. But after some time though, Coco Pommel actually had been talking to Rarity when Sunset overheard when she mentioned that Coco had fallen in love with this mare. But at first Rarity didn't even ask who it was, but Coco didn't mention by name, but she was the most beautiful mare she had ever been talking to, spent some time with. But then she mentioned that this mare was a unicorn and also had a red-yellow mane, and that detail made Rarity made out to figure out it was Sunset. But when Sunset heard about this, she did not believe it. So she quietly ran away as fast as she could before any of them could hear her. But it took a few days to realize for Sunset how about her feelings towards Coco was true, that she had actually fallen in love with her. But she asked herself, should she even be with Coco or try to just be alone for some time to maybe hoping these feelings would disappear over time? But in fact, they didn't. Every time when she thought about Coco made her feelings towards her even stronger for each single day. She had no idea what to do. So she asked Twilight for advice. And but she made this more like a question. If she would have fallen in love with a mare, and that this mare had fallen in love with her, and that she had fallen in love with her back, but she didn't know how to tell or what to do. At first, Twilight asked, "What is this Sunset?" And Sunset just explained that there was some just a rhetorical question that she had, like she was just curious. So after figuring out an answer, Twilight said the only way to be sure that this mare you're talking about should tell the other mare how she feels. And even it means that she isn't perhaps that maybe she isn't ready to be with her, or they may want to start it slowly to see if it was any true feelings towards between each other. That is my only answer I can give you. So, Sunset thanked Twilight for her help. Even after all this, what did it mean for Sunset though? Should she start dating Coco, or should she just try to avoid her as much as possible and try to forget about her feelings towards Coco in the first place? At first, she tried to forget about her, but it wasn't even working because almost every night she had dreams about her and Coco Pommel on dates or sitting on the beach, sitting on the meadow, watching the stars together, and even one dream that they were married. So these dreams was a sign that she was in love with Coco, and she couldn't even start thinking about her. So one day she told Twilight that she will be leaving Ponyville for a few days, so some Pony would have to take over her class for some time, which Twilight did, and then she asked what was going to happen. But Sunset didn't say then, but she will explain when she came back. So Sunset went to Maidhaven to see Coco Pommel. There they had this big talk, long talk, for almost an hour, and after that both agreed to give it a try to see if it works between them. And sure enough, after almost about a month being dating, they realized they were meant to be with each other. But during the time when they were on the fifth date in Manhattan, Sunset saw some pony that she didn't want to see anymore. Her ex-boyfriend. after she found out that this other mayor had broken up with him also and left town and didn't even know what to speak with him. And now he saw Sunset with Coco Pommel at this restaurant. He walked up to her and asked if they could talk, and that he wanted to make it try again to be with her after he was so stupid after trying to go behind her back and all this. But nevertheless, because he thought Coco Pommel was just a friend of hers and nothing else. But then she said, "You're too late. I'm with somebody else by now." And he asked her, "Who?" And Coco Pommel then said, "Me." "You're kidding me. You're dating a mayor? Robert would be with me? You're kidding me, right?" But Sunset didn't laugh or even smile. She said, "Yeah, so what?" Uh, Nothing. I didn't expect you would be the mayor. I mean, I thought it was time to be with stallions, but not the mayor. All right. I mean, but please, let me give it a try. But he tried and tried to beg and beg, but nothing. But in fact, for the next several days after when she came back to Ponyville, he went back there to talk to her, try to convince her to go back with him. He even tried to talk to her even at school, when she was at home, or when she was at the park. But after nearly 2 weeks trying, after 2 weeks, he finally get the hint. She didn't even want to be with him after what he did. That meant that after he broke her heart, she never wanted to even be with him or even be near him. So after this, he quit his job in Canada and moved somewhere else, but she didn't care where. As long as it's far from her, she didn't even be bothered to be note where. And that was the final thing that she even heard from him. And Coco, she was happy that how much she stood up her hooves in the ground, and putting her hoof down, saying what she meant, and that she didn't even care about this stallion after what he did. And her friends, they were equally supportive to her, and when they found out that they were dating for some time, they were happy that Sunset really was happy with Coco Pommel. But after some time though, something did happen between Coco and Sunset. Even though Sunset had her work in Ponyville, she has been asked by Coco to move in with her in Manhattan. But they could even do separate ways. But after some time, even with some help from Rarity, they managed to make it something better. Sunset was still going to be working as a teacher in Ponyville, and Coco, she had actually found some pony to take over as manager at a boutique in Manhattan. So that meant she was leaving Manhattan to move to Ponyville. But what she was going to do there? To be a teacher? No. She is in fact turned out to be Rarity's assistant at her own boutique, which both was a great deal. They made us a big sacrifice, but there was also a big positive impact. And after being dating for about 4 years, Sunset had proposed to Coco, which she said yes immediately. Coco and Sunset get married only after a few weeks later. At the wedding, though, Sunset had asked Twilight to be her bridesmaid, and Coco had asked Rarity to be hers. And it was a great time for both of them. They even went to Rarity's tropical resort island for about a week as a gift from Celestia. And when they came back, though, they started working at their normal lives. They even moved in together their own small home. But after nearly 2 years, they wanted to have a family. So Sunset had asked if Twilight could help them. And of course, she did. After a few months, Sunset had a baby girl, and 4 years later, Coco wanted to be having a mother, so she had also a baby. But this time they had a baby boy. So both Sunset and Coco Pommel were so very happy that to be with each other. After even what Sunset went through, after that she found out this that her ex-boyfriend did. She didn't expect to find another pony to be with, at least another man for all things. Because of all this, after what her ex-boyfriend did, she had almost given up hope to find her soulmate, her true love. But afterwards, when she heard about her, when Coco had talked to Rarity about her feelings towards her, she couldn't even explain it. But she couldn't even expect that even that happened. But nevertheless, though, Sunset were just really happy that Coco had found the courage to explain and reveal her true feelings towards Sunset. Even Sunset never had expected that to happen, though. But nevertheless, both of them were so happy that Sunset had found her true love, and even Coco had found her love as well. And that's how Sunset Shimmer and Coco Pommel for the true love got a big family. The end.